I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is on assignment. He did confirm again that he'll be in Birmingham. We'll see if we can catch him live in Birmingham. With that being said, we have a show to do, so we're going to welcome you to episode 681 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. Quite frankly, in short, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host. Today will be Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer that is, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring on A.D. Drew and Charles Bishop, see how they're doing today. With that being said, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational, consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, how you doing today, Charles?
You're doing well, Doc. Doing well. For all my gamers out there, College Football 26 came out. So, it'll be some girlfriends and wives. They're going to lose their boyfriends and husbands for about the next month or so. So, just heads up. If anybody listening out there, Wendy.
Charles, have you gotten the game?
Yeah, it did download.
Yeah. I saw you kind of looking over your corner. I guess you quietly, or maybe not so quietly, stating a mission, not sending a message. It sounds like just saying.
Saying it's downloaded. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Good stuff. With that being said, let me go to you, A.D. Drew. How you doing today?
So, Charles, all you done is just move the timeline up 6 weeks because they was getting you was getting ready to lose, the wives were getting ready to lose their husbands anyway once that last Saturday in August got here. So all we did was just move the timeline up 6 weeks, man.
This is true.
That's all it is. And they should be happy because now they actually can get some summer peace at home. Hint, fellas, just find time to get the honeydews done, and maybe she'll stay off of you just a little bit and let you play. As long as you get them honeydews done, you might have a fighting chance.
Well, I'll say this: while that may be the case for some of them, now those wives are going to be following right with them to those football games because they're quite fans themselves, and of girlfriends, some of them are going to be out there with their girlfriends getting ready for some football.
This is fast.
Yeah, they thought what y'all talking about.
All right. I'm coming too.
Ready, particularly when it gets down to homecoming. They certainly gonna be in the house as the girlfriends rally and get together and get prepared to show up and show out and do their thing. So they like, whatever, fellas, we got this. With that being said, let me go back to you, Charles, as we shout out to the lab listeners. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you engaging us. We're going to you, Charles, with some news of the day. What's on your mind?
Yeah, let's start off. This comes to us from HBCU Sports.com. For the first time ever, the HBCU football game will be played on one of the Ivy League's most historic campuses. Johnson C. Smith of the CIAA and SIC's Morehouse College will face off on the campus of Harvard University Saturday, August 30th, in the inaugural Essence HBCU Kickoff Classic.
Oh, good one. Interesting. Essence is in the promotion game, but this time with HBCU football classes. I like it. Double down and support blackness in terms of the black college experience. So shout out to Essence and getting involved with the HBCU classics. With that being said, let me go to you. Drew, what's on your mind?
I feel like I have to add to that since Charles brought that up about the institution that I work at. Ironically, had a meeting about that particular classic this morning. One of my 3 meetings that I had before lunch this morning involved discussion about that classic. And I'm just gonna say this: Essence, y'all need a win. So we hope y'all come back with this classic and everything. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wow.
It's a tough weekend for Essence.
Tough weekend for Essence. Good opportunity to make up for some of the opinions out there. So we at the house, we look for y'all to go strong and hard. That's all I'm gonna say.
I like it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Roy Woods Jr. Connected with HBCUs, and I'll come back to you, Drew.
Okay.
I didn't know you were quite finished there, but I'll let you get the rest of how you're going to tie that in. But point was made. Roy Woods Jr., I just want to shout him out for what he's been doing with those shorts videos with HBCU baseball and focus with the Swingman Classic, which is tomorrow. We've talked about it a little bit, and so excited. Talking about Drew, as I hand it back to him, he's going to be involved in that in multiple ways. Right now, it's a good place to be in Atlanta in terms of being able to be involved with HBCU sports in multiple ways. But I wanted to personally shout him out in terms of what he's doing with those shorts. Extremely entertaining, extremely informative, showcasing coaches, players, and getting them to talk about it in their own place and facilities. The way he's been around is commendable and certainly high level information in terms of what he's been able to do. So I wanted to personally take some time to shout him out. Let me go back to you, Drew. Didn't realize you wasn't quite finished there. I want to make sure you can get your showcase in terms of what's on your mind today.
Hey, well, since you just took my actual news of the day, Dr. Cavil, I'm just going to take this for a point of special privilege and talk about the guy whose name is up right here on the post. Looks like he just picked up a copy. I'm assuming that's of Kenn Rashad's book. But just want to shout out Steve J. Gaither from HBCU Game Day, aka WSSU Ram Nation, for taking the challenge that we put out on Sunday. And Dr. Cavil, you gonna love this. He turned his assignment in early.
Yeah.
So now you have time to actually
set the curve. We see what's wrong with Steve Gaither. He's all in front of the class.
Right.
With the professor.
Exactly. So he turned his assignment in early. He you actually get a chance to peek it and critique it, like you might want to go back and fix that and everything else. I'm not gonna get into all of that right now, but he got some other people in the class probably going to get upset talking about him since he got his work in early, trying to show off all the class and all that kind of stuff. But
Charles.
Yeah, we wait on that Jackson State list. Wait on that Jackson State list. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay.
No, so you didn't retire now. So you start all this. You start all this with the pregame show, and now you get to retire and sit back and just call games. Come on inside the HBCU Sports Lab when you feel like it feels good. But you got to do all the hard work no more. All right.
But
I was trying to remember what the homework assignment was.
Yeah, but Actually, this was
You
in your
get
other
way out.
class. This is
You
in your
get way
sports
out.
rap class. This wasn't in your lab class. So, yeah,
Okay.
you take multiple classes here. You know, college student, we got to take 4 or 5 classes at the same time so we can get up out of here on time. So we take you out of HBCU school. But great job, Steve. One thing that he did, he only released the back half of the list, 13 through 25. But what he did was open my eyes to some Winston State players that I really did not know about or did not or knew very little about. And that's one of the reasons why we do these lists is to get these student athletes' names back out there who we may have forgotten, or Charles, you may have been the only one who saw them play and really liked them. And once again, this is your list, not anybody else's list. This is your opportunity to give that player some shine that he or she, if it's a women's list, may not otherwise get. I'm looking forward to part 2, Steve. But part 1, you knocked it out the park. Can't wait to part 2, and now it's going to make some other people. I want to see some other people get their school out there. Or if you really feel froggy, talk about your conference. Top
You know
25
what?
SWAC players, top 25 BAC players, etc., etc., etc.
Very, very important to do this list like this, especially from the standpoint everybody did not make it to the NFL, but they are a SWAC legend, or they are a MEAC legend, or they are a SIAC legend, or a CIAA legend, and it's good for those guys to be remembered and get their shine. So, no, I appreciate stuff like this. I love it.
To your point, I want to add this to that assignment. You do the SWAC conferences. I'm gonna add a level 2. You got a conference that's over 100 years old. Let's split it. First 50, 51 years now. You're talking about 1 in 5. So you can split it either the first 50 years if you would, or first 52 years you want to go with that. And then the last 52 years. Split it up between the early years, precursor if you would, to the latter years. So I'd like to see folks break it down from that perspective to give homage to really going back in the history books in terms of that. Some of those are going to be folks that you're going to have to go listen in terms of who your parents, grandparents shared with you, or what you read and what you come across, versus some people actually last 50 years can talk about what they've seen personally. That gives a chance to make sure you can really provide some updates for some maybe more of the current athletes that have stayed in your head versus some of the legends that you may have seen in the first 50. And it gives a chance to get back and give some love to some of those conference members that are no longer active in the conference. When you talk about Langston, some of the greats there, or you talk about Paul Quinn College, Wiley College, Bishop, some of those great teams in terms of what you look there. Texas College, it would be fascinating to see what that looks like in a lot of ways. But I want to share this. I now showed off, feeling good, came back from Bahamas, so would be remiss if I didn't make this connection. Major name to the team Bahamas in Davis Cup. This comes out of MEAC Sports. In June, the Bahamas Lawn Tennis Association, BLTA, shout out to my wife, loves tennis, announced its 5-member team Bahamas, where Howard University standout Michael Major Jr., Nassau, Bahama, was among the honorees. The squad competes in the prestigious Davis Cup, September set for August 4th through the 9th in Trinidad and Tobago. The Davis Cup, often called the World Cup of Tennis, is the premier annual international men's teams tennis competition organized by International Tennis Federation, ITF. Over 150 countries compete annually in this prestigious event. A year ago, Major made the All-MEAC second team after winning 8 single matches in the number 1 single slot. Academically, the Bahamas native earned a spot on the MEAC Tennis All-Academic team after accumulating a 3.0 or better grade point average. Team Bahamas consists of Major, Delalali, Dante, Kofi, and Captain John in terms of those gentlemen getting it done. So that's interesting for me. Wanted to relive my little time that I had a couple of days ago, Charles and Drew, in terms of the Bahamas. So I felt good about sharing that. Took me back.
Show off.
Nice.
With that, we'll take our first break, come back on the other side, teasing that when you talk about HBCU culture and homework assignments, I think we might have somebody that's going to bring you a homework assignment or two. With that, we'll be right back on the other side with our guest. Let's see who's coming to join us on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. With that, we'll be right back after this break.
There's a shot to right. It might be. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you, guys, for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. And all you guys at BCSN, we really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew. We're bringing on our guest. Has he made it in the studio?
Yes, ready for him?
Yep, let's bring him on in. Introduction with, I'm not sure he needs one, but
compared to you, I do.
Right, for his inaugural visit to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, which is none other than Kenn Rashad. He's founder, chief executive officer of HBCUsports.com. Many other accomplishments along the way. Now the author of a new book titled HBCU Sports 101, A Guide to Understanding Black College Athletics. Kenn Rashad, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, brothers. I'm going to just say this. AD you stole my thunder, man. You stole my thunder.
What I do, man?
As soon as I heard Essence was behind that game at Harvard, I was ready for my one-liner. I was going to use it on here, and you came up.
It actually came out of the meeting we had today because after we talked about it, I just came out of left field and like, well, after last week, Essence showed need to win. I hope they do us right. Everybody took off and ran with it.
That's what they call a slap to the you know what. And it was justified too. I was like, man, look. Let's hope Essence don't run that football game like they did Essence Fest, boy. Because when you got Stephanie Mills with open letters,
yes,
got an open letter. Stephanie Mills of all people.
Of all people.
What's up, brothers?
Miss Making Love.
That's good. You see Kenn Rashad in rare form. He's ready to go off today. So we're going to get to Kenn Rashad that y'all don't always see. Y'all oftentimes y'all see the reserve. Every once in a while he likes to show up and show out. When we go back when Jeremiah the Bullfrog was a tadpole. So we go back a minute. Working together, bringing me into the game, going back and forth, quiet conversations about learning with one another. I'll be frank, sharing ideas, and even partnering. People don't know we partnering on a couple of projects.
So let me tell y'all something right now, man. Doc, don't let Doc tell y'all talking about me being quiet and reserved. Let me tell you now, when me, Doc, and Charles and AD, when we act just like this. I'm gonna just tell y'all right now, and we say some stuff that ain't necessarily suitable for these airways.
Right.
We have a good time, especially when alcohol gets involved.
Oh, we've had a good time.
Don't be telling all them shop secrets, man.
Oh, I ain't telling any secrets. I'm just saying, your man trying to make me to be a saint. I appreciate you, Doc. I'm just saying,
Yeah, especially in them suites around the country, particularly in Atlanta. We in them suites. We solve all HBCU problems. You get on the front end, we act like all this. When we in those rooms, presidents, chancellors, commissioners, ADs, VPs of athletics, head coaches, multiple sports, and just as fans, boy, we sit in there, we dissect calculation. If we could bring out of there and charge folks of what goes around in those rooms, there would be no problems left.
I know that's right.
HBCU Sports.
Ooh, boy, you preaching.
But let's get into the reason you're here in terms of this book. One, let me say I'm very proud the fact that you put pen to paper. Nowadays, I guess you talk about keyboard, putting it to print in terms of getting up there. As soon as I heard, I wanted to support. I knew it was good material. I purchased it. So I got a chance to get the electronic copy. Can't wait to get the paperback. I know it's coming. And I told you I want a signed copy of the hard book. I know you said you're going to sign this other one.
And real talk, because of you, and another person, the hardback orders, I've already sent it off. As a matter of fact, sent them off today. So the hardback is coming. So I'm just telling you. So Doc got pulled. I'm just saying, because I was jealous. I did research. I'm like, Doc is like the only Negro out here, man, with an HBCU book that went to an HBCU. Everybody else didn't go to one. I think University of North Carolina, Princeton, Harvard. I'm like, oh hell no.
You're so right. Texas Tech,
A&M. I'm just saying, they were all over. I mean, not saying they can't tell the stories. I'm just simply saying, man. But as I said before, you guys went to HBCUs, man. There's a certain nuance that we can kind of tell these stories in a way that no one can. I'm not saying that they're not well intended. I'm pretty sure they are. But we have, I think, just a very different, a very unique perspective on how these stories can be told, how they should be told, and if nothing else, to kind of put some of the I don't want to say phony rhetoric, but they're just kind of like some there are some misnomers about HBCUs out there that continue to persist. That I think that, we need to kind of like set the record straight. Not saying that they're perfect, not saying that all problems are systemic, even though a lot of the problems that HBCU face today, including those, as it relates to sports as well, it's of a systemic nature. But it's not as bad as everyone tries to make it to be, and it isn't necessarily there are some problems there, but there's just a very unique perspective that I think we add to the conversation. And there just aren't enough of us in this space, which is why I appreciate this particular platform and all of the other platforms that are out there that are either HBCU focused or school focused to tell the stories, man, because there are a plethora of mainstream media outlets that are dedicated. You got some schools that got like 3, 4, and 5 platforms dedicated, There's no reason why look. Eric Moore of Honored and told me long time ago, man. And this is back in when I first started in '97. He said it himself when I reached out to him. Hey, man, how you do this? And I'm thinking he's not going to necessarily share any information with me, but he said it He said it then. And I'm telling you guys, there's enough pie in the sky for everybody. Everybody. There is nothing that anyone can do that can stop you from doing the things that need to be done. So if you're a young and upcoming media person with a thirst or with an appetite or just a desire to tell the story of your school, whether you go to Texas College or A&T or Alabama State or Philander Smith, you need to tell the stories. And that's one of the reasons why this book exists. There are enough books out there about HBCUs. This is about HBCU sports in particular. I didn't want to call it HBCU Sports for Dummies. So I thought we'd take a classroom approach, taking something from Doc, HBCU Sports 101. And this is kind of like the first of series of multiple books. This kind of takes a general, broad approach of HBCU history, HBCU culture, current trends, things we can expect in the future, NIL and so forth. But in future books, we're going to, dive deeply into more, topics that are a little bit more in depth, such as HBCU media, such as women in the HBCU sports space, from an administrative standpoint and so forth. So we'll dig into those type of subjects.
Good stuff. You told us the why when you opened it up there, but you kind of touched on this a little bit. So I'll jump in this before I pass it and allow these two gentlemen to get into some of this dialogue. Do you see this as a book that can also be used for K through 12, certainly maybe a higher high school or even higher education? I've got a chance to flip it, and I think there's components that you could use.
Great question.
101.
One of the struggles that I had early on, and again, this is my first project, so the preliminary drafts that I had out there that I sent to certain family members, and I wanted to keep it close to the vest because, to be honest with you, there was a part of me that I was like, okay, the last thing I need to do is to start this and not finish. And one of the initial comments that came across was it's too academic, and Ken, you know a lot about this stuff, but you're saying things that are above my head. I think I kind of understand this, but to the common person, this isn't gonna resonate. So that's when I realized, okay, excuse the expression, I had to dumb it down a little bit. And kind of make this a book for anyone. So, and I literally state this in the book. If you are a HBCU alum, and you just simply want something that's going to maybe possibly reconnect you from your days way back in the day, back when you were on the campus of an HBCU, this book is for you. If you are a parent of a middle schooler or high schooler who could be possibly interested in going to an HBCU, guess what? This book is for you. If you are a corporate CEO who might be possibly interested in maybe partnering or maybe, forming partnerships with HBCU, guess what? This book is for you. It provides perspectives. It provides you on culture and so forth. So I guess to answer your question, Doc, as far as I see it, hopefully this book is for anyone and everyone who has an interest in learning more about HBCUs, especially as it relates to sports, because we all know, as they say, sports is kind of like the front porch to any and all schools, and it's kind of like the driving force for recruitment and so forth. And I think that this book, basically, in essence, could be for anyone. It's primarily, not so much for middle school, but definitely high school and up. This book is for everyone. And I would even go so far as to say I said HBCU Sports 101, but if there was kind of like an entry-level introduction to HBCU sports at the college level, I think that this book could possibly serve that purpose because of what we talk about a number of things. We talk about briefly a history about HBCUs. We talk about HBCU programs, athletic programs, that kind of started this trend. Legendary athletes, legendary coaches, legendary administrators. And I'm not just talking about ADs and SIDs. I'm talking presidents who played a key role in kind of like formulating the of HBCU sports and so forth. So we talk about Frederick Humphreys. We talk about a number of presidents who were key in playing roles of kind of putting HBCUs on the path. We talk about the conference commissioners. We talk about the early starts of the CIAA and SIAC and the reasons why they existed when basically there was no place for them to go. So as we all say, as HBCUs are known for, they made a way out of no way.
That's right. Absolutely. Let's take our first break, come back on the other side, and we're going to let Charles and Drew get in here and ask you some follow-up questions. But I said it perfectly. I set that up. We have a introduction to HBCU sports here at Texas University. So as I read through it, I thought this is a perfect place to actually start. We were using the book that I had, and I think it may not be quite appropriate for freshman students. So we're using parts of it. But now we have a companion. We can open them up and then close them with the 470 senior level class. So I'm going to be supporting and pushing that for those that teach that class to consider making this part of the syllabus for the book.
Wow. Appreciate it, Doc. Thank you.
That'll help with sales.
Yeah, well, yeah, it will.
So I'll actually buy some of the books, certainly for the professors teaching class so they can review it and look at that. So we'll take our first break, come back on the other side and dig a little deeper into the book. And then again, Charles and Drew provide their own questions in terms of what direction they have. Let's take our second break, come back on the other side and get back into it with Kenn Rashad, author of HBCU Sports 101, a guide to understanding Black college athletics. We'll be right back after this second break, excuse me.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
It's like a loot machine. Going around town trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have none other than Kenn Rashad, founder and chief executive officer of HBCUsports.com. who is joining us today to talk about his new book, HBCU Sports 101, A Guide to Understanding Black College Athletics. With that being said, Charles, as I promised, I'm going to jump back in here and let you start off with the follow-up question.
Yeah, no problem. And Ken, I wanted to ask this question because I'm always curious with regards to the writing process. I've had a couple friends who've written books, but just were there aha moments where you're doing research and you start going down a rabbit hole and it's kind of, okay, how do I pull myself out of this rabbit hole to kind of get through the book?
Bro, look, let me tell you something. I had, yes, to answer your question, look, after a while, it kind of got addictive because you begin to uncover things that you don't necessarily expect to find. And then there are things that, okay, you have a general view and you say, you know what, I want to focus on this particular area. And these are the people that I want to discuss in this particular area. And then you said, I think such and such was responsible for this. And you start doing research only to find out not only was that person responsible for this, but this person was responsible for this. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, ooh, that person. What? So yeah. Look, man. Yeah. So I had to put stuff in. I had to take stuff out because it got to the point to where I said, you know what, man, look, you can't, you got to stick to the bases. You can't put everybody in here. It's impossible. And if it would be disrespectful to kind of clam or just, crowd everyone in here who probably should be, because I'm telling you now, there are probably some people, and I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that they were omitted, but it was impossible not to include. This book doesn't, it's general, but it doesn't, you're going to probably read this book and someone's going to probably say, he should have mentioned so-and-so and he should have mentioned so-and-so. Believe me, I promise you, I mentioned them.
Yeah.
But then as one person told me in reading the manuscript that I had previously, Ken, this reads like a Wikipedia book. And I was like, okay. Yeah, take the stuff out. Really? So all I will simply say is, out of trying to be respectful to everyone, putting everyone in there would have been disrespectful to everyone. I guess because I wouldn't have done them justice. So all I will say is everybody's not included. You can probably make a strong argument. Well, this person should have been mentioned. That person should have been mentioned. But in order for me to kind of stick to the initial basis of the book, I had to keep it general. I had to kind of make sure that it was easy reading, and I had to make sure that this again was a book for everyone without necessarily overcrowding. So to answer your question, Charles, yeah, that was a struggle, but eventually it became a lot easier with repetition and so forth. So yeah. So but it was fun. And I was like, you know what? Well, I'm gonna save this, and when I do the next project, I'll make sure to include this if there is a next project. Because man, I'm telling you, this kicked my butt. This kicked my butt, man. So, Doc, you didn't. I probably should have reached out to you, because, brother, if my experience or if your experience writing a book was anything like mine,
yeah,
Lord have mercy. Oh, so, but I'm glad it's done. So,
shout out to Calvin. He said didn't go to HBCU, but he wants the bundle, including the hardback. We'll certainly make sure that happens. He talks about degree in Pan-African Studies, and you certainly talking about a grandfather, which includes HBCUs from a diasporic framework. So yeah, you including in this. Welcome to the family. Anytime
let me say, and for those shameless plug, sorry to cut you off, Doug. Go to KennRashad.com to order the book. You've got until July 18th, in which you have the opportunity to you pre-order the book. I will personally sign the copy, but you also have the option. You can get the book by itself for $21.99, but for just for $3 more, you can get a bundle. You'll still get the book once it mails out, but you automatically get the ebook immediately for download. Yeah. So you'll be able to read it right away once you spend your money, and we'll make sure to get that book shipped out to you, signed by yours truly, to make sure that you've got the complete kit. So KennRashad.com is where you go to make the purchase, and we'll take care of you. And because Doc has made it clear to me that we needed a hardcover version, and there was another person and a couple of other, I'm like, you know what, man, I think Doc is sending these people, man, because all of a sudden email, are you going to have a hardcover copy?
Yeah, I do my thing.
Okay, so yeah, there's going to be a hardcover copy, and we will announce that shortly. But it's on the way. It's on the way.
Anything like me, what's good about getting it now is the fact, obviously, you like the hardcover. You can be around the house.
Yeah,
but you move around and travel, particularly we're getting in the football season. It's nice because you can put it on your iPad. I have it on my iPhone as I'm going through this dialogue, and it's an easy read. You can move around. You don't have to worry about lugging the extra book. Make sure you don't lose it anywhere.
Right.
You have a sign, put it up, but you have your copy. So take advantage and get it now. Let me go to you, Drew, and ask you a follow-up question.
Before I get to that, G-Boom wants to know, will there be an audio version of the book?
There will be an audio version of the book.
Okay, Morgan Freeman.
You see, I told somebody. So
hire Charles to read it.
So I indicated this before last night. You know, if I had the money, you know, ideally James Earl Jones would have been great.
There you go.
That's not possible. You know,
Hey,
I can't afford Morgan Freeman. So, you know, yours truly could do it. Charles could possibly do it. Hey, look, man, you know, I'm gonna do it. You know, and
you pay for a couple of rounds of golf. He'll let y'all read.
See,
yeah.
Now we talking.
Golf is my weak spot. Yeah.
Now we talking. You know what? If that's all it takes, Charles. You know what? A couple of rounds of golf, I can swing that.
There you go. Go ahead, Drew.
I got the perfect voice for you, Ken.
What's that?
How about Mark, the guy who does the PA during the Celebration Bowl? That deep, heavy bass voice that Mark has.
Well, but see, but he doesn't just do it for the Celebration Bowl, right?
No, I'm just saying
he's the in-house announcer.
Yeah, he's like, he does a lot of the swag stuff.
He's too expensive.
I told you a couple rounds of golf.
Couple rounds of golf. Oh, wait a minute. You're not talking about Mark with the swag.
Yeah, that Mark.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? On the court. You know what? I just might call Mark. You know what? That's a good idea. I'm not saying he's cheap. I'm just saying, but I can.
He's got the voice.
He got the voice.
He's got the pipe.
Sure.
Yeah,
but you know what? I'm going to probably try to do this in my voice. But so, yeah, the audio version is coming.
Yeah.
It is coming.
And for those who don't know what Mark's voice is, next time you see the BX Swag Challenge commercial,
right,
that's his voice on the BX Swag Challenge commercial.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ken, getting back to my question while I'm going off on this tangent, Wade, talk about rabbit holes. I just went off on a tangent. You know, this weekend, Brian and I put together our list of top 25 football players since 2000, you know, with this 25 years into the century. So, putting that list together, obviously it's not at the level that you did, but put this book together. But, you know, as you go through and get this stuff together, it really makes you think, why did I come up with this dumb idea? And how do I get this out to people? So what I really want to know is A, what was your motivation? That's number one. B, want to give you your props because I know when I had the last writing I really did seriously was when I had to do my writing for my thesis. So for me to actually have the discipline to sit down and write a book, I do not know if I have it right now, and we're talking 20 plus years since I've got my thesis. So just talk about the discipline and the process of going through it. So I'm gonna leave right there because I don't want to put too much on the table for you right now.
So, great question. Given the rigors of this schedule, of just kind of what we do, man, trying to make sure that we create content. I'll be honest with you, man. I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to have a staff of writers who can kind of take care of some things that put me in a position to kind of handle projects like this that hopefully would be beneficial for everyone. So, put like this, while writing this book, And there were days that I literally would spend the entire day just kind of like doing research and writing the book. I would get text messages. And no lie, I get text messages. What you think about this? Like, what do you think about what? Dude, you just reported on your site that such and such and such and such. I'm like, oh, that happened? I didn't even know what was going on my web. I didn't even know what the news that we were breaking on my website because I was just that entrenched in my project. I didn't even get a chance to see what was going on with HBCU sports. So, I mean, look, man, the way it worked was, you know what, the best time for me to work on this was actually during while school was out. This is literally idea in terms for me to be able to kind of finish this. So like when we started, like maybe around February, when I really got into it, and I'm thinking, okay, we were able to kind of like I said, I was able to leverage the writers to the point to where I was able to like really put a lot of time into this to make sure that we could actually get it going. The last thing that I wanted to do was to start on it and to get halfway and not be able to complete it. That would have been just horrible. Mm-hmm. So there was just a personal determination because, you know, I mean, I don't know, maybe there have been a couple of times, man, I've started on this project, believe it or not, years ago. I attempted to do something similar to this. And it finally got to the point to where, and I'll just tell you now, you said pen to paper and even keyboard. To be honest with you, one of the processes that I utilized was just simply talking into the mic. And now that you've got, you've got like word, can literally transcribe your words, man. These are my words. And so at that point, it just simply becomes a process. Okay, let's go ahead and just formalize this and put this in a way to where it's readable. And, that helped out a lot. So I will just simply say this to you aspiring authors. The process, I'm not saying this is easy. It requires time and effort. But if you're going to write a book, man, you don't necessarily have to write it. If they're your words, you can speak into a microphone and get somebody to record it for you. And as I found out, that's how a lot of these projects are handled. So a lot of these individuals, these athletes and so forth, that go out and they write books, somebody's recording them. And they get a ghostwriter and they go ahead and they write the book. That's kind of how the process works. In my case, I couldn't afford no ghostwriter. It's all me. So, with the help of Grammarly, I'm just simply saying, but that's how this all worked, man. So technology helped out quite a bit. And, that being able to leverage that technology in a way allowed me to make sure that I got this process through, and at the same time continue to my day-to-day duties with HBCU Sports.
Good stuff. Let's take another break. Last segment we'll have with Ken, so we'll get some final questions and thoughts in here. Great information been provided, and thank you for taking us behind the scene in a couple of different ways. Let's take a next break and come back on the other side and ask some of those long-ended questions. I'm gonna frame it up in a way before we do that to kind of break those down in the book.
My bad, man.
No, it's good stuff. Good stuff. We'll take this next break and come back on the other side.
Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up message quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap. YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACTalents.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop, AD Drew, and our guest Kenn Rashad, who's going over his new book, HBCU Sports 101, the guide to Black college athletics. I wanted to do this a little bit to really get those that may be thinking about it, hadn't quite bought it yet, but really trying to figure out the framing of the book. So I wanted to kind of go through it. I won't name the chapters because I want to still give some suspense, but I'm going to go a little framing because I got a chance to get into this a little bit. So it's important to provide that. First of all, I really appreciate your introduction because it's so personal to you. And I think that's a unique way to talk about a story and your experience with your connection with a HBCU is told from that perspective. And a lot of people know you as being from California, but those that don't personally know you may not know your other connection. So that is told in here. And you're talking about like Charles growing up with HBCUs. Drew obviously lived that from his experience, but it's a different when you realize your HBCUs in your backyard. And at the time, right, you may not frame it. And so in a lot of ways, you're able to connect where you can share the experience that the HBCU that you first connected with was literally in your backyard. So I'll let readers figure that out when they pick that up. Then you open it up from your first chapter asking a question, but you stay in a very personal perspective of that question, the defining and answering that question to me in a way that's significant, a question about HBCUs. Then you get into a framework of, as you said, you set it up with the history. There's a history of HBCUs with good information in there. And then obviously you're talking about sports, so you have to set it up with the sporting, but you do it from giving people information on conferences, at some point the divisions, but you put a spin on it with the identity in terms of those conferences. So it's not just the history that people can pick up, like you said, Wikipedia, but you put an identity, which is different than oftentimes what we've seen before. Then you get into a chapter 4, where obviously if you're going to talk about HBCU sports, you need to ground it in the athletes. Yeah. So you talk about athletes, specifically athletes that change. Again, not every athlete, but a framework of those from your perspective that change the game. And some of those are changing the game from HBCU perspective, but some of that's from college, some of that even professional. So multiple levels, multiple sports. And then obviously you have athletes, Charles, when you think about it, somebody like had to coach them. right? So where is the framework of the coaches and what do they meant? Then AD Drew, you go from the coaches to administrators, if we want to look at it from that perspective, with presidents, commissioners, and ADs. But these are not just ADs that continue to do this, but these are building blocks. How did you grow from that perspective is a chapter in here that is illuminating. And then obviously we get on to gridiron, and if you talk about HBCU sports, there's a special place for football. So you get into that, but you get into it with the classics. You add the rivalries with a lot of people, but you even tie that in uniquely beyond what to me is special about HBCUs, the community.
Right. Exactly right.
That folks that may miss that. And then you get the legacy, and then you're very truthful because you talk about some decline that oftentimes illuminated, but the way that you did that and spun that I thought was magnificent, to be frank with you. You also talk about the pipeline for NFL. And then you tie in a nice, because you take it up a level because now you go up to the resurrection, the rise, if you would, particularly in postseason football. So I thought that was a unique way to do it. And what is HBCU sports if you don't tie in the band? Here we go. Marching sports.
That's a question I was going to ask.
Done a great job in terms of spinning off from the page and listening to those out there that wanted more about the bands. You've done that from a page. Now you include it in your book. So fascinating. That's chapter 10. Get into 11, where you do a unique thing where you get into the circle, if you would, coaching-wise, as we alluded there, but you talk about a playbook. But the way that you talk about the rewriting of the playbook is unique, and it's not just the playbook in itself. So I thought that was important to bring out there. But finally, when you talk about these letters to the future,
yeah.
If you allow me, I do want to read this part from.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No.
I think this is poignant, and why I think it gives chance folks to see the value in the time you put in there. You say dear student athletes. I like to call them college athletes, but that's a different thing. I know you feel the pressure. You're balancing academics, expectations, sometimes a job, and now added the pressure of NIL and personal branding. It can feel like you're supposed to be an athlete, an influencer, a spokesperson all at once. But hear me clearly. You're enough without the filters or the followers. You are standing on the shoulders of athletes who never had your platform. Wilma Rudolph couldn't walk without braces as a child because of the polio. But she went on to win 3 Olympic gold medals for Tennessee State, became the fastest woman in the world. To say she did more with less while at TSU is an understatement. That's the kind of greatness your jersey represents. And that same spirit is still your foundation. Learn your history. Ask your coaches about legends who came before you. Speak up when something isn't right and carry your legacy the way you carry your jersey. Close to the chest, but visible for the world to see. Very poignant. You talked about dear coaches, dear administrators, dear alumni, dear sponsors and brand leaders, dear future storytellers, and to all of us is how you close it up with your letters. Again, I want to break that down, but what you said to what I refer to as the college athletes, what you're speakingly talking about student athletes. Again, this is a book that I could tell time and energy was put into it. And it was not just putting facts and figures. It was about leaving a story.
Right.
You were remiss if I didn't take the time to allow folks to understand the energy and the importance of what you put in for this book. So I wanted to share that with you personally.
Man, you can make me cry.
I appreciate that. I try. Charles says that's why they pay me well, but I'm still trying to negotiate more with BCSN, Texas Southern, and whoever out there is coming for me. Trust me, we can work it out. Got to negotiate with the wife too. She's very expensive. And then there's this one called Deuce that now is an international traveler with passports on his second one. That's a whole nother story. Kenn Rashad has told me and warned me about this as his two sons are doing well. And shout out that you put them in the book. One that followed your foot in Grambling, as well as your son that you acknowledged was probably one of the biggest Grambling fans out there that didn't go to Grambling. And then we must shout out your significant other in terms of your wife, a beautiful person that shared experiences in terms of recognizing me. So I wanted to make sure we acknowledge her. But let me make sure you give you time to kind of close out as we get ready for our last segment.
Okay.
I want to say thank you. Please take the mic and kind of share your final thoughts with us.
Well, look, man, I don't know if I can do any better than what Doc did. It makes me wonder if he even needed me on in the first place. Checks in the mail, Doc. So, look, man, I think Doc pointed it out that this book is a book that I think everyone could benefit from, even if you're a seasoned HBCU alum, someone who's been following HBCUs for a while. But I think we take a look at the genesis for how this all started. We take a look at the people who made a difference. We address the current challenges of today, but ultimately, I think what it all comes down to is that everybody has a role to play, and that we all have a part, whether it be someone supporting the HBCUs or even those of us in this particular space, just continuing to tell the HBCU stories. So, like I said, man, get the book. KennRashad.com is where you can go. And look, and Doc, I can't thank you enough, man, for the support. Just spot on. I should have just checks in the mail, man. Checks in the mail.
Man, you know what it is. Appreciate you. Won't say it enough. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Appreciate you, man.
In terms of how we built and what's going on, but wanted to say I'm proud of you and appreciate what you built, and more importantly, how you found a way to bring us together versus separating.
Okay, so
allow us to have fun.
I got you, but let me say this, man. I'm not going to let you give me all the credit, because do know you started this. Okay, ain't a whole lot of us out there. All right, I was a little jealous. I'm like, Doc got a book. I want a book. So I'm just saying, man. You are just as much responsible for where we are right now than anybody else. Like I said, man, like you said, we work together, and I know firsthand what you put in to get to this point. So I can't take all the credit. I like to say I played my role, but AD's played a role. Bishop, you've played a role. Everybody in this space, man, who has played a role. So I'm not going to take all the credit, but I appreciate the praise that you do give me.
And I'll be getting I'll be ordering my copy this weekend, my brother.
I got you, man.
Yeah, I didn't realize the deadline was that close.
Yep, problem. That's why we had it. That's why we do it here. Let's take our last break and come back on the side. We're going to tease you a little bit about next week. We'll see Kenn Rashad as we all will ascend on Birmingham for our annual updates and do what we do for the SWAC Football Media Day. So we won't necessarily have a show on Tuesday. We're looking at it, but we tend to get together and discuss what's going to take place on Wednesday. So it may be a little challenging in doing that, but that's why we gave you a little extra time today to be able to do that, and we'll feed into it. So
are we done?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so let me just tell you, because you my brother, Charles, you my brother, and AD, you my brother too. But particularly to Charles and Kenyatta,
yes,
I say yo.
I was gonna try to get him out of here with it. I tried to do it. I knew he had to do it. I saw the smoky board in the background. I saw his pictures. Where were y'all in Phoenix or something? It was hot.
Yeah, we had a conclave in Phoenix.
Yeah. Good job, Nelson. Conclave there, and good to see you representing, because you're working. And not just being there right now.
Yeah. Believe me, I was working. I was just, you noticed, I was there as a delegate. I'll just leave it at that. So anyway.
Exactly. I know what that means. So we'll take our last break. Thank you, Kenn.
All right,
we'll come back on the other side.
Appreciate y'all, bro. All right.
Appreciate it, Kenn.
All right, my brother.
All right, now.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being heard.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACTalents.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As I alluded to, as we come back for this last segment, want to get in a little bit about the football media day that's coming up as the SWAC kicks things off. Obviously, we got the SIAC, CIAA, and then we end things with the MEAC. Want to give some love to HBCUAC. Obviously, they kick off things, volleyball, basketball, which comes up a little later. But when you talk about these 5 HBCUs, talk about some teams and the players that we're looking at in terms of that. It's going to be fascinating from that perspective. When you talk about Alabama A&M, with Cornelius Brown, the 4th quarterback, Demetrius Bimby, linebacker. Alabama State will be represented by Lewis Kenyon? Kane? How do you pronounce it? King. Thank you. Safety. Cameron Smith, offensive lineman. Jacorian Swell, running back. Gideon Scottsville from defensive lineman at Alcorn State. Bethune-Cookman. A.J. Hall, defensive lineman. Malik Huggins, wide receiver, Florida A&M, Ashton Gravel, offensive lineman, Davion Westmoreland, defensive end, Grambling State, were represented by Nick Howard, wide receiver, Blake Davis, defensive back, Jackson State bringing a quarterback, Jacoby Morgan, and Jeremiah Williams, the defensive lineman. Mississippi Valley State will be in the house with the Fabian Fant, running back, Kobe Bird, defensive back, Prairie View A&M, Ravon Jones, tight end, Jamal Marshall, defensive lineman, Southern, Derek Morris, wide receiver, Jakelby Givens, defensive end, Texas Southern, with Kenneth Cooper Jr., the quarterback there, DeMarcus Thompson, defensive lineman, and University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, Jeremiah Rogers, offensive lineman, Trey Glip, place kicker. Charles, let me go to you. What are you most looking forward to, or any particular person, maybe a coach, AD, will obviously have Commissioner State of the Union address, and then the media personalities that you will have there covering it. What are you most looking forward to when you descend on Birmingham as we come in on that Tuesday before things get started, bright and early Wednesday morning?
I think one of the things that I'm looking forward to is just the conversation around NIL and the House settlement and with the SWAC opting in. So I think that's going to be a huge conversation piece, not only for the commissioner, but for the ADs and coaches as well, in terms of how will the SWAC attempt to navigate this new college football landscape. Obviously, I think there are buzz teams now. I think if you're a Prairie View fan, I think Tremaine Jackson has beat the drums pretty loud out there. So chests ought to be pumped pretty big. So I think they're going to be one of those teams that you look forward to hearing from them at SWAC Media Day. And then always heavy as the head that wears the crown, and that's Jackson State with regard to being the Black College National Champion. So you're talking about a team that has gone to the Celebration Bowl now. 3 out of the past 4 years, won the SWAC championship. But that they are definitely, they bring a lot of pieces back. But how does it all gel? And I think that's one of the overwhelming questions that you're going to probably ask every team in terms of how does it all gel? When does this thing kind of come together? Because a lot of times it doesn't come together until maybe October sometimes. So we'll see how quickly things come together for each of these teams.
Drew, what about yourself? What has you excited about getting ready for media days as things kicks off, specifically with the SWAC? Anything that you're looking forward to more than the other? Is it particular player, coach, AD, commissioner, some of the fellow broadcasters and journalists, as well as personalities that will be in the house.
While we may know the players that are coming representing their teams, it's the other 100 players that we may not know because of this transfer portal. So how these rosters will look in the fall, because every roster from championship Jackson State down way down to a Valley who finished at the bottom of the conference, these rosters have turned over much more significantly than we are used to these rosters turning over. So looking at that, looking at who's going to be that surprise team every year come October, there is some team that we did not look at back at this time of the year who is a surprise. That's two ways, everybody. That's surprisingly good and surprisingly bad.
Yep.
So who are those two teams going to be that will drive the conversation this year, and will they get there or will they turn it around depending on where they are, where those two teams are sitting at? And this is a storyline that may go under the radar, but it's going to be interesting. Close your ears on this one, Charles. Will the West ever get in position to host the SWAC championship game?
That's a good question.
It's the era of the SWAC championship game. It has been in the East in the on-campus era of the SWAC championship game.
Right.
Will somebody in the West rise?
Please stand up. I love it. For real, for real. Let me ask you this, talking about surprises. And I'm not talking about your order of finish. We'll get a chance to do that Wednesday before everything gets started, before it's officially released. But I want to ask you from this perspective, what do you think is going to be the surprise in terms of what they release? Who will be the highest surprise of the team ranked where people were not expecting to be that high? I'm going to start with you doing in Charles the same question. So think about that.
Doc, there will be no surprises. Every year when we get this preseason release, it's all chalk. Jackson State will be voted number one. I mean, it's always whoever the champion was the previous year, unless there was a major coaching change like at FAMU or like at Jackson State 2 years ago. They're always number one. Valley is probably going to be number 12. It's going to be the other 10 that we got to worry about. So this is going to be chalk. You know, Southern's gonna be right up there. FAMU's gonna be in the upper third. Prairie View is gonna be higher than they finished, but it's really gonna be chalk. And honestly, who cares? Outside of bulletin board material for the other 11 teams and the target on their back for team number 12, who cares?
Yeah.
Charles?
It's probably taking a look at Prairie View and Alabama A&M, to be honest. I mean, when you take a look at the coaches that they brought in and the resume that they're coming to their respective schools with, I'm curious to see where Prairie View and Alabama A&M get slotted in this upcoming.
I like what Lennon has Prairie View. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, that Prairie View, they're the it team. They're the it team. But I will say this. For Chris Dishman to not have his starting quarterback all season, and for them to get the 5 wins last year for Texas Southern, that stood out for me. So I'm kind of they're kind of a curious team to me, because I know they've made some big additions, and there's always a leap from year 1 to year 2. TC Taylor will tell you that.
And while Prairie View hit the trails in terms of what they did recruiting, right behind them was ranked Texas Southern. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab Bowl, Prairie View versus JSU, Dr. Will and Charles. Yeah, that'd be a good one. We certainly be in the house.
Playing at Texas Southern.
Yes, sir. Lennon, I like Lennon more and more. Boy, he's rolling today.
Hey, he's rolling today.
He's rolling. Let me get you all out of here for this. Appreciate the time you spent. And I think you've provided some insight. I look forward to in our message boards as you break down your order of finishes as we will debut it for everybody else on Wednesday. I look forward to seeing what people think in terms of what that looks like. But I think you've provided a lot of good analysis in terms of what's going to be out there. You talked about some surprises. You talked about what will not be a surprise in terms of what that looks like. But the season is ahead of us. It's going to be fascinating. I want to make sure we get out there and talk a little bit about the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge, as their media day is coming up there too. Want to make sure we put it out there. We'll be in there. Fascinating to see things kick off. Obviously, North Carolina Central and Southern. Fascinating to see what that's going to look like. And then we have some other classics. Howard and FAMU coming up very early in the season. And Labor Day Classic. You talk a little bit about that. Texas Southern and Prairie View. It's in Houston. So it'll be fascinating to see what goes on there. Juke, go ahead.
I want to say this as everybody gets prepared to offend everybody by releasing their own personal predicted order of finish.
Yes.
Hint to the wise, when you guys do this, do a schedule matrix and actually go through and slot your wins and losses per team. So if you pick a Prairie View to beat somebody, make sure you go over to that other school and put the L over there, because everybody can't go 6-2 in the conference. Everybody, it's got to balance out so that you do it, and then and talk about it or compare that to what we're going to put out and everything. Do the schedule matrix. Don't just look at your team schedule like, yeah, we going 7-1 or 5-3 or whatever. Look at those other teams, y'all. And some of these schedules are easier on paper than other schedules.
That's
based on locations and everything else.
I love the schedule matrix. I have mine ready for Wednesday. Because some people will do that, and I'm going to ask that question. Where did you get that win from? I need to see the schedule. Charles, your final thoughts before we give it a close?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to SWAC Media Day. Looking forward to the fellowship. Obviously, the night before, everything jumps off. But looking forward to kicking off this new season. I think the SWAC fan base, HBCU fan base in general, there's fewer pitch. And normally when we get to around this time of the year, people, they've invested in now. Now they want to hear from their head coaches. And I hope everybody is just generous with their time next week in terms of talking to your fan base, because nothing drives season tickets like talking to your fan base.
Oh, good point. Another good one, Lennon. That JSU FAMU game will be fascinating. I love the fact that now it's moved from the start of the year, which was fascinating, but putting it in November, how things may snack up. Obviously, Alabama State and Alabama A&M in the weeds saying, hey, not so fast, my friends, but that game has a target window. Obviously, we have some big ones on the West, too. And Drew asked a really good question. Will the West get into the party to host a SWAC championship game? Hasn't been to the West yet. We'll see what that looks like in that home era in regards to the team. So thank you for listening. The Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports. Coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Pull that back up, Drew. That was pretty good with the jambalaya bowl. North Carolina Central will beat the jambalaya out of Southern with their own rule. Boy, that's tough. That's tough. Sounds like a MEAC fan there. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Vill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and A.V. Drew every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattacavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Drew?
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Travel light.